Thank you very much. I welcome all audience. The early Sunday, early morning, post Diwali, and this is the we are doing as everybody is aware. This is the breast cancer aware month, October. So we are planned that way. We should have something in on the breast. I'll be talking on the abnormal nipple discharge and breast abscess. There are two topics I need 1 or 2 minutes extra. Organizers, please listen to my request. Nipple discharge, why we are discussing, because whenever there is a nipple discharge, all the female they are coming to the gynecologist, so we should be knowing and we are treating definitely, and timely we should refer them accordingly. Nipple discharge is a common complaint, so much common that 80% of the women they are feeling in their reproductive age group. And nipple discharge can be serous, mucinous, milky or serous sanguineous, blood purulent, multiple types of discharge can be. We will deal in the next few slides. The mammary ducts lined by the actively divided epithelial cell which sloughs an orifice of the non-lactating woman blocked by the keratin plugs. And the ductal system respond to the hormone estrogen, progesterone and prolactin, and this can be in during pregnancy, during lactation, and without lactation also sometime in the abnormal conditions. But the pathological discharge is caused by the growth or the proliferative of the mammary duct that line the epithelial lining. And mammary duct, we should not forget that mammary duct are the seat of origin of the breast cancer, and hence the significance is there. The type of discharge, as we all aware and we are listening since morning, we are not going into the detail, that lactational and physiological discharge when there is no pregnancy because of the some hormone or stimulation, there is a hyperprolactinemia, and causes we will deal in the next slide. And there is a pathological discharge maybe because of the papilloma, ductectasia, eczema or the ductal cancer in situ or malignancy. The lactational physiological we have already dealt with, Dr. Shakuntala has described in beautifully. And when the recent history of pregnancy is not there, then we call it a galactorrhea, and maybe because of the hyperprolactin is the most common cause. And pathological, these pathological discharge is clear, serous, bloody and secretion, and sometimes it may be bloody, but it is most of the time is spontaneous. All the physiological and lactational is with associated with the squeezing of the breast. The statistics is taken from the review article published in September 19, 2021, recent review article. The intraductal papilloma 35 to 56% cases, ductal ectasia is 6 to 59%, but an underlying pregnancy, malignancy can be present in percentage of the cases reported to be variable, like 5 to 35%. The causes of hyperprolactinemia may be physiological or pathological, like exercise, lactation, pregnancy, sleep and physical stress and sexual activity can increase prolactin level and leading to the milk production or galactorrhea. And some pathological pituitary adenoma, acromegaly, Cushing syndrome, hypothyroidism, renal failure and liver failure. And some medication, it is very very important when patient is coming to us for nipple discharge or galactorrhea, we should take the history of these medications like anti-dopaminergic, anti-psychosis, anti-hypertensive, anti-convulsant, anti-emetics, and like metoclopramide and domperidone, some opioids and H2 blockers. So this is very very important taking history, and because I am specify, because I am not going to enumerate again in the investigation part. This slide will clearly showing that how pathological and physiological discharges differ, as nipple has a 4 to 6 duct opening, each drains in a separate lobe, and we have Dr. Chandan already has described beautifully and how the lobes are different, and Dr. Sushma also again described in the morning. So when there is a stimulation, all the glands, all the ducts are working, so there is a bilateral and from all the ducts, but there is, when there is a pathology is in single duct, and that only that opening is having discharge. This during when patient is coming with a complaint of the nipple discharge, we have to take all the histories, whatever medications or how the patient is and time, Then we'll go to the examination. Inspection part, we see the symmetry, dimpling of the skin, erythema, swelling, color changes, any color changes, and after inspecting the total and the both side of the breast, then we'll do the palpation for any mass or lymphadenopathy, axillary or supraclavicular, and try to stimulate the discharge also, whether it is coming from the all the ducts or bilateral, or it is spontaneous or after stimulation. And sometimes the bright light and magnifying lens can also differentiate whether this is coming from the single duct or multi-ductal. Investigations, apart from the blood investigations, complete hemogram, or related to the medication or risk factors, will go for the imaging testing. And these mammography, again the statistics are taken from the review article recently published in 2021. The mammography is still remain a part of the evaluation of pathological nipple discharge because its high specificity and negative predictive value, as well as the widespread accessibility. Sensitivity is although 15 to 70%, specificity between 35 to 90%, and positive predictive value is 42%, but negative predictive value is 90%. And ultrasound, again, ultrasound should be initial imaging, especially in women under the 40 year of age, and mammography should be the initial imaging modality in women 40 year or age or the older. And ultrasound lesion should be whatever lesion we have identified by the ultrasound or the mammography, they should go for the ultrasound guided biopsies. Investigations like ductography these days is not very popular because of the MRI invention. MRI is easily available, and fiber optic ductoscopy is very good diagnostic module and therapeutic module, but the availability and the skill should be there. And cytology is very easy to do, but it is not recommended routinely. And MRI sensitivity is 93 to 100%. So the MRI is highly sensitive, but the specificity is still lacking. And this is again flow chart. By the history and the examination, we can differentiate whether this is physiological or pathological. And if it is pathological, if the patient needs surgical treatment and or conservative management. Treatment of the nipple discharge, again, this is the based on the cause. If imaging abnormality is there, then the core natal biopsy should be done and breast cancer treated appropriately. Hyperplatinemia is treated with the drugs or the surgical removal if it is a pituitary adenoma, and liver disorder or renal treated accordingly. But in pathological discharge, when the duct is involved, the surgical treatment is there, and surgical treatment can be total subareolar duct excision or selective duct excision. Total subareolar duct excision reduces the requirement of the repeated duct excision due to the higher detection rate of the occult cancer, but can cause difficulty with the breastfeeding, loss of nipple sensation, and sometimes areolar necrosis. Selective duct excision may result in the need of the repeated duct excision, but the preservation remaining the ductal system is continuing with the nipple, and therefore the typically best option for the women planning for the breastfeeding. But in this case, we have to be very well versed with the informed consent, and if patient is planning in the future lactation. And to conclude this breast nipple discharge abnormal, diagnostic imaging evaluation should be performed in all the female with pathological nipple discharge, and mammography and breast ultrasound are the first examination to do. Discharge cytology is not routinely recommended, but it may useful if combined with the other findings. Contrast enhanced MRI due to its high sensitivity and negative predictive value should be considered in management of all patients with pathological nipple discharge, in particularly in those negative mammography and ultrasound. And the conservative management is done by bimanually ultrasound and yearly mammograph in patient with no palpable abnormality, negative imaging, and patient do not desire to surgical intervention for palliation of their symptoms, but surgical excision is done when there is a imaging abnormality and patient is desire for the cessation of their symptoms. She is a family history of the breast cancer, BRCA1 or BRCA2 mutation, and pathological nipple discharge persists for 2 years. Then it has to be done. So by taking into account each patient's unique history, imaging finding, risk factor and personal preference, we can safely tailor out treatment plan to better meet the need of our patients. This is a summary. I will just take the one slide for breast abscess. Objective to treat breast abscess is to have a minimal invasive and to detect and treat underlying causes, to give appropriate antibiotic for appropriate time, to cause least damage to the tissue, to look for the complication like fistula formation and sinus formation and management. And one thing, because I am discussing with the non-lactating breast abscess, so I will just highlight the risk factors: obesity, diabetes, smoking, immunocompromise, hydenitis, inflammation of the sebaceous cyst, inflammation of the carcinoma, idiopathic granulomatous inflammation, foreign body reaction, and breast implant and needle piercing. We should keep in mind when we are dealing with a non-lactational breast abscess. Now my last slide. Any patient having features of the lesion should be evaluated for malignancy and tuberculosis also when we are dealing with a non-lactational breast abscess. High index of suspicion for inflammatory breast carcinoma should be kept in mind, and ultrasound plays an important role in diagnosis and therapy, and aspiration under ultrasound guided can be done, but it requires multiple aspirations, and we can avoid incision and drainage when we are doing aspirations, but it may require multiple sittings, and if it is not like curing the abscess, then we can go for IND, or if is a bigger abscess more than 5 centimeter, then we choose to do IND. Thank you.